Hello and welcome back to the Total Drama What If series. This is going to be Harold's episode, but obviously before that we need to go over everything before Harold, and it's exactly the same because nothing would change um, until extreme torture. So Ezekiel's still eliminated, Eva's still eliminated, then I think it was Noah was still eliminated. Than it is Justin. I know I've gotten these wrong a few times. It's never really affected anything, but it's fine. Twinbird pointed it out in one of the videos. The Sucky Outdoors was Katie. Then I can do Tyler. Then it was Cody. Then it was Izzy. Then I think if you can't take the heat was Beth, right? Hold on. Beth, who can you trust, is Sadie, and basic training is Courtney. Now, this what if you didn't read the title, is one, it's our last what if before the merge, so that's kind of crazy. But two, it is what if Harold didn't get quote unquote distracted. The alternate title is what if the stick didn't lift Heather's bra up. But I don't want to put that on the thumbnail of the title, so that's really what it is. What if that stick just wasn't there? So yeah. Well, with that, I think that Harold still okay. Heather was gonna cut the rope, but I think in this timeline, I think the better what if is it's unlikely that the stick just isn't there. I feel like that's too much to change for a little what if. So what if the stick is just aimed a little higher? So instead of ripping her bra off, the stick in this universe hits her in the back of the head, distracting her, and she drops her knife into the mud. I think that's better. What if the stick is higher up? Because I feel like if it's just not there, then Heather will just cut the rope, and then they'll just win even easier. And Harold will get sent home, and the what if will be cooked anyway. So yeah, it distracts Heather. She drops her knife, and this sends the Screaming Gophers to elimination, where it is a pretty obvious. It's a pretty obvious 4-2 vote, and Heather is eliminated. So this can send us into our boys versus girls bunch of disgustingness. Now, of course, we have more guys than girls here, but I think just like I've done a few times, Chris would definitely, as a joke, put Harold on the girls. Um, they get destroyed. Harold's probably a little better than Heather at this challenge, but it's against Owen, and just these five guys in general make a very strong team. So I think the guys still win this. Then we hit merge, where nothing changes in terms of the comebacks because nothing will anymore. So Eva and Izzy remain. So let me grab you, and let me grab you. And another thing that remains is Harold being here over Heather doesn't change Eva's odd hate for Bridget. And maybe she also hates on Harold, but I don't know. And Eva still gets herself eliminated here. Then we have Search and Do Not Destroy. This is the episode where it was very, very obvious that they just gave immunity to the main villain. And if you look at these people, I think the main villain is definitely Duncan. This is also the one where Duncan does his whole thing with sorry, excuse me. He does this whole thing with getting. Oh wait, no, that's in the next episode. Yeah, no, this is the episode where Trent gets kissed by Heather. That's yeah. And nobody's gonna do that. You could make an argument for maybe Duncan kissing Gwen, but I don't think he would do that. Instead, I think he would do his because they have a strong, or they pretty much have majority here, and it's unlikely everyone else teams up. So I think, does he do his loyalty test yet? Probably not. I think these five would probably want to get one of these six out before doing the loyalty test to get out Bridget. And you know what? I think Trent not joining the guys' alliance would make the guys want to vote out Trent, but I don't think, or the guys and Bridget. I don't know. I don't think that Duncan would kiss Gwen. I don't think he'd do that, especially since he has Courtney, and obviously that still happens since she still gets out only basic training. Um, so instead, I think these five. Bridget doesn't want to vote a Trent, so these five are able to convince Izzy because Owen's with Izzy, or at least they have feelings for each other. And I think they're still able to get enough votes, maybe rope in Lindsay too, since she doesn't really have anybody, and they can say, well, these two got Heather out, and they vote out Trent here. Now is hide and be sneaky, and in this one, I think one big thing that changes. This is the loyalty test challenge. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, because I was wrong last time. Yeah, this is the loyalty test challenge. And for this one, I think Bridget is kind of mad at Jeff. That's a big thing that changes this episode for not because she really didn't want Trent to get out because now Gwen's all sad, right? Um, Now I think because of this, Jeff feels conflicted between his buddy Duncan and his girlfriend Bridget. And after Duncan ropes the four guys together to get out Bridget, I think that's where Jeff has had enough. He storms off, and along with along with Gwen, Lashana, Harold, who are together at this point. By the way, you can make a comment. You can make what is the word? You can make a whatever it's called. You can make an argument. There we go. Oh my gosh, my brain is slow. You can make an argument for them wanting to get out Lashana and Harold's relationship over Trent and Gwen's, but I feel like they'd still go for this one just because they think it's hilarious watching this. But along with Bridget, Jeff, Gwen, Lashana, Harold, and these two are still on this side. It's still a five. Oh, it's a 5-5 vote. So it's 5 votes Duncan, 5 votes Bridget, and I think Duncan still wins this, and now is vowed enemies with Jeff. Then we have That's Off the Chain, and with no Heather to hold her back, Lindsay destroys everybody in this challenge, which ends up destroying her own game, and she gets out via bullshit. It does suck that Lindsay literally cannot get past That's Off the Chain because she's just so much better than everybody else at it. Then we have Glenn and Screamer, where I actually think Harold is a bigger wuss than DJ. And with no Heather to scare DJ in the shower, I think Harold gets eliminated here. Then we have Wawanakwa Gone Wild. This is originally, if I'm pretty sure, yeah, it's originally Izzy's episode. And I think in this scenario, these these are pretty dead set on eliminating each other, these four and these three, except for Izzy, who is one crazy and two still mad at Owen. Izzy's mad at Owen. She still likes him, but is still mad at him for pushing her in front of the chainsaw, kill her with the hook for a hand. And even though it wasn't the real one, they didn't know that. So Izzy's mad at Owen. So she teams up with these four, not to vote out Owen because they still like each other, but to vote out Duncan. And Duncan, well, actually, you know what? Izzy is kind of dumb. And I think Jeff, Gwen, and LaShawn are kind of desperate. You know what? And drama on this show usually ends up getting, because they were able to get, if Heather was able to get Gwen and Trent out, I think Izzy's able to get Owen out. Plus, they have their whole popularity thing where they think it's going to be a vote by the eliminated contestants to see who wins in literally the very next episode. You know what? I think Owen does get out here. Then we have the Trial by Triarm Triathlon. And for this one, I think they put Duncan and Gwen together because they've been hating each other all season. DJ and Izzy, and then Jeff and Lashana. Now, Jeff and Lashana is probably it's a strong duo, but probably nothing too crazy happening there lore wise. DJ and Izzy is pure comedic relief. That'd be really funny. But here's where Duncan and Gwen start the challenge hating each other and barely working together, but by the end of the challenge, they've actually made up and become pretty good friends because these two have a lot of chemistry as friends and as more than that, as you see in World Tour. And I think after they actually get to know each other, instead of just blindly hating each other. They're hating each other instead of hating the game. They've made up, and they actually don't. They like each other as friends. Obviously, they both have partners at this point, but again, this would theoretically set up the Gwen and Duncan relationship a lot better. So yeah, they do pretty well. Then we have Gwen is still friends with Lashana, and Jeff and Gwen have become friends and have their whole little arc at this point already because Jeff hates Duncan and has been with them. So they've had that whole party stuff happen, which that was more explored in this timeline. But these four um, are well. Gwen wants these four to get out Izzy, and then Duncan's like, I can get DJ in on that too. The problem is Jeff is not wanting to work with Duncan at all for getting his girlfriend out in the tiebreaker. And he's probably been a dick about it for a while. So I think instead, Gwen and Lashana, remembering the whole conversation they had about popularity with Owen getting out, they say no hard feelings, but they team up with Duncan and DJ to get out Jeff. And Jeff ends up forgiving Lashana, Gwen, and DJ. They're still bros, but he doesn't ever want to see Duncan again. And there goes Jeff in the Trial by Charm Triathlon. I love that name. So then we have Hot Couture. And in Hot Couture, Katie and Sadie are still gone, so Lashana still gets cooked here. Sorry. There's nothing I can do to stop that. It's really unfortunate, but yeah. So then we have Camp Castaways. And I think this would be a very funny episode with DJ and Izzy while Gwen, annoying the hell out of Gwen and Duncan. But yeah, nothing too crazy happens here. And we don't see Mr. Coconut, sadly. So then we have Are We There, a Yeti? This one is a really good episode, but you could make an argument for these to be the duos. But they are forced, I'm pretty sure. Let me check. They are. Yeah, Heather and Gwen are forced to team together. Yeah, okay, so they are forced, which means that they'd probably do something like this because those are the most opposing personalities on the island and the people with the least bond. So while Duncan just has to freaking monitor Izzy like a kindergartner because she's insane, but Izzy is also clearly has been in the war with Chef, and is probably extremely good at this, and really and just really blows Duncan's mind, but also makes him see Izzy as a huge threat. But he's like, okay, well, this helps a lot because Izzy would be insanely good at this kind of stuff. She's like, oh yeah, back in my night ops training or something like that, back in Vietnam. And then so these two pretty easily crush Gwen and DJ. Gwen is obviously good at this challenge, but she'd probably get really pissed off at DJ for just being scared of everything and overall just being a wuss. Now, when it comes to the elimination, Jeff has to pick between Gwen and DJ, and he complains a bunch about how he wanted to get out Izzy because they have their rivalry. But Gwen and DJ are his choices, and he respects Gwen from the challenge way earlier in the season, so he gets out DJ, who he does not respect at this point. He does see some of himself in DJ, but I think we'd still save that for total drama action in this timeline. Then we have I Triple Dog Dare You. Now, in this one, you could say Gwen and Duncan aren't that close yet to team on Izzy, but I think with them already being somewhat close, and Duncan and Izzy having their whole thing happen last episode, making Duncan see Izzy as a huge threat. Duncan tells Gwen that they need to double team on Izzy. Now, I think this would be a very, very interesting episode because while Duncan and Gwen are both extremely strong competitors, Izzy is insane. Izzy will do anything because she's crazy. And I think, but I don't know, because I don't think Duncan or Gwen would give up. So I think it would end up going for a extremely long time. But I think Izzy still manages to outlast. Mm, we'll say probably Duncan has a little bit less feats than Gwen. Well, no, he doesn't. You know what? We'll say Gwen gets out here, and Gwen leaves. Well, I don't know because Duncan doesn't really deserve this win. That's the thing is I was gonna do Gwen for diversity's sake, but Duncan does not deserve this win, but he still deserves it more than Izzy. That's a hard one. This is the hardest one so far in this series. I think just for narrative's sake, we'll get Duncan out here. But then again, for narrative's sake, you'd want Izzy out. She's deserved it the least. I guess they still end up barely inching out the win against Izzy. This one could go anyway, though. Like, that's a very close one. So this comes to our final, where, as almost always, Gwen gets here. Because that literally happens almost every time. But also, because of that, we do have Duncan here. So I think Gwen still wins this. Like, Gwen is still the canon winner over Duncan, just because Duncan was kind of a dick and kind of the villain of the season, but he still had his good side show out. So I think he definitely deserves a winning ending. But I don't think he's the canon winner. But that's gonna do it not only for this episode, but for the pre-merge section of this of the season 1 part of this series. I'm going to be going over the rest of the island, then Action, World Tour, Revenge of the Island, All Stars, Pahkitew, not doing Redonkulous Race, both reboot seasons, and I even plan on doing this with this Venture Camp over the next few months. But that's going to be a long time from now. But now we do enter our merge section. Our first video will be Eva. Eva's second episode, because both Eva and Izzy will get a second episode. And what I think is going to happen is Heather's definitely going to be a lot more of a player, just because of certain things that I've thought of. I've already played some of these scenarios out in my head a little bit. And I think Heather will definitely be actually making it through some episodes in this. And because of that, I think it should still be a little bit more interesting to watch, because I'm not going to lie, there was like a group of like 4 episodes there where it was just Gwen, Owen, Bridget, Jeff, because they're just such strong competitors to win if things go their way. So yeah, but that's going to do it for this one. I've yapped for long enough, and I cannot wait to catch y'all in Eva's episode next time. See ya.